Yo, yo, welcome to live Q&A. I shall be answering questions from people. Kind of how Q&A works. This is our new mic setup. And we went to this in the morning, but we had a bit of a, kind of got stuck in the work. So we've postponed it to this afternoon. So for this evening, we've got lots of good questions. So let's dive in. And hello, whoever has jumped on. You can always tag yourself. Email has come through letting me know that we are recording 30 seconds in, which is great. If you're watching a replay, it's like you can always ask questions as well. Maybe not the depth that it was answered, so you might go answer it in more detail. Then we shall do so. So let's dive in to the call. Now, a disclaimer, this is all for educational purposes, the training, nutrition, lifestyle, based on my experiences, my opinion. I can be wrong. So that's why we recommend you still seek medical professionals such as Michael Kai for oral and Dr. Mason, so chiropractics and health. We've got Jan Lee, doctor, and any other medical professional GP for medical clearance. Remember, this is all for education purposes. Now, disclaimer is done. Let's dive into the Q&A. This is actually week 7. So, question number 1, cycling for leg mass, question mark. Yes, I highly recommend you do it. That was easy. So how can cycling benefit me growing my mass or my legs? Well, when it comes to hypertrophy, some of the things to remember is that, and this is where I always have a hard time getting my head around it, because the 3 fundamentals for hypertrophy are progressive overload, which is sets, reps, load, and tempo, and then you've got controlled full range of motion. That's what I like to say, and then no pain. But if you keep loading a joint or a structure, 5 kilos, 7 kilos, 10 kilos, 8 kilos, sorry, that would be progressing, but 10, 12, 14, it's going to grow, it's going to get stronger, even without controlled full range of motion. There just comes a point where you hit a plateau. Now, in cycling, you got to circle the fibers. You'd also look to increase the resistance. And, you might only be able to do 20 minutes, but your body would adapt. I like to think in my head, muscle goes, this really sucked. We should get stronger, get bigger, and therefore that will allow us to grow mass. So what happens is the muscle gets more dense, and then eventually it expands. So cycling is a great and simple way to work the quadriceps and the legs in a consistent, steady fashion, which is just one thing you have to remember, or 2 things: turn up, turn back. Quite simple. It's actually how I build my legs, a lot of cycling. The only thing to note is that when training the quads, you're only training them in a shortened position. So this will restrict your mobility in the future and affect performance when it comes to the other movements. So my recommendation would be pair this with certain split squats or lunges or things that push your quads through a great range of motion, so you can improve mass, but also improve the function. So enjoy that one. Next question, thoughts on training frequency for beginners and advanced? Well, from my mentor, Mr. Dubois, so TDM, he looks, and like how I look at people, is we literally start with beginners. We look at, say, a total of 15 to 20 sets in a given workout, spread that across 4 days. You can do 3, and you see how the body responds. Every 4 to 6 weeks, you make adjustments. So you might go from 20 to 25 to 30, and we'll get a point where it's like, Carl, these workouts take 2 hours, and you spread them across 5, 6 days. Now, most people, when they start, will do the typical bro splits. They'll train chest 1 day, back 1 day, legs. Most people skip the Wednesday, arms and shoulders. So in that given workout, they're probably doing 20 sets for that. And then they'll hit a plateau on that. And so we then look to spread those sets. Instead of 20, we do 10 2 times a week. So that increases the frequency of training that specific body part. So I like to do like chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs, and then chest, back, arms, shoulders, legs. And that can be a 6-day split program. If you're training 5 days a week, you might go over 5, and that 6th day becomes your next Monday. If it's 4, same thing. So that is a nice way to build it up. And then for the advanced, you're training the same body part 3 times a week. Now, if it's strength, then it's more skill. You could be doing a light day, so it's speed work, a moderate day, and then a heavy day. So those are some things that you can do with frequency for training for beginners and advanced. I like the 4 and 5 day split programs more than the 6s, just because I've found with a lot of the busy professionals that we work with, they need 2 days that allows their body to recover, but it also allows them to catch up. So, if they're slammed with work, they can just start working 6 a.m. in the morning and get started. Next, thoughts on with lengthened partial reps. Lengthened and partial reps. So training full range versus partial range. It's a good way, depending on like muscle group, like the delt. I like to work full range with the delts. And then when I can't do more of the partials, that tends to work quite well. Bench press. I only really deal with delts. I control full range of motion is my thing. I do partials. Yeah, I do them on leg extension. Really, I'll do them with exercises that allow for complete and utter fatigue without injury to self. So, like if you're doing a cable machine, you let the cable go. If you break the machine, okay, at least you're not broken. If you do it on bench press, you're like gone. Dumbbells, you can drop them. So you can do them. If we're talking about failure, then we have to do partials. The other alternative is like 1/4 reps. I like it. Weakest point, time and attention. I do enjoy it. A lot of people are like, well, you should just train full range. Yeah, but if you want to make certain stronger, you've got to make it work more. So you could also do pin presses, partials. So, go all the way down, 1/4 rep back up. You could do blocks, so you're kind of restricting certain movements. So limiting the range so you can hit a specific point. It has to be for a reason. It can't just be because it felt like it. So when it comes to length versus partial reps specific, we've got a lagging body part when we're bringing more volume, but we don't have like the luxury of time. So that's a way to get some more volume into that body part. I like to sometimes also do partials, like you do 20s, do like half reps, fatigue that delt, and then do 10s. That's always great. Exercises that are potentially more effective in terms of muscle growth. Yeah, compound. People say compound, but okay. So when it comes to building muscle, again, progressive overload, time and attention, control full range of motion, no pain. So number one, as long as there's no pain in the movement, because you can do back squats and get pain, so then it's no longer effective. So as long as we're not experiencing pain through the movement, that's the gold standard. So if you experience pain in any of the big compound movements or anything, so you see doctor, GP, physio, osteo, or reach out to one of the guys at Vitruvian Health, get a structural balance session, the game plan, literally set yourself up to succeed. Most people will go, oh, I hurt, I can't train. If you hurt your shoulder, you can train calves. So it's just understanding what is the exercise or limitation or restriction that you have and how do you work around it. That is what you should be looking at. Second thing is big compound movements do tend to work more, but a lot of people can still progress with other machine-based movements. The challenge with a lot of the big compound movements is that if you have a structural limitation or restriction, it's going to be harder, has a greater risk to injury. So this is where machines are better because they can keep constant tension on the muscle and they can be safer. So it works really well for people that are new to the gym, don't have a lot of time, can get in, get out, and restrict or adjust the movements to suit their needs. So this is a big depends, but hopefully I've waffled on and given you something to work with. So remember, should be able to progress it, increase by a rep each time, add some weight, should be able to go slower, be able to pause at any point in time, and have total control and not experience pain. If you do feel pain, then reach out to someone who can help. Okay. Well, alcohol, its effect on the systems and training body parts usage. Well, alcohol is a neurotoxin, so I don't recommend it. I've seen people's sports performance, like speed, pressing a bar, just diminish. I tend not to be a fan of it, except for maybe once or twice a week with red wine. from a point to really calm the body down. So again, it's case by case, but I don't use it for any performance with training or body part usage. How would you manage clients' nutrition based on their levels? Uh, yeah, you've got like different body types, somatotypes. Really just work with people. A lot of the time, people get in their head that nutrition is really hard. It's my opinion, it's not. You got training, nutrition, lifestyle, you've got NEAT, supplementation, mindset. Really, if you focus on, like, if nutrition was a circle and, the solution is a square and we start to jam it in, it's not going to work. So it's finding, like, what is the missing piece that's going to help that person go, heaps of people say that they eat healthy, they eat well. If you do a 7-day reflection, like, what time do you wake up? What time do you eat your meal? What are you drinking? Are you yawning? Well, having power naps? Are you, what's that word? Like, forgetful, focus, your memory's off. And you have those moments where you're like, then there's something up. So you make notes of all of it. Keep a journal. Doesn't have to be a Hufflepuff one. Can be just pen to paper. And you just reflect over a 7-day period. The question would be is, are you consistent with your sleep time? Are you consistent with your night time? Do you stay up late at night? You have brain fog, forgetful, drink enough water? And just start from there. So reflection is a great tool to help people just really assess where they're at. Too often people go, oh, that girl or that guy does this, therefore I should do that. That's someone else, it's not you. So working with where you're at. So when it comes to managing clients' nutrition, just talk to people and find where they're at and make suggestions, because just the messenger. So yes. How would you manage a client/athlete's nutrition after the comp? So this is now talking about comp prep. So with most people, they don't have a competition to do it for. However, they had a goal, then we start to be a little more detailed oriented. So with comp prep, we really set a blueprint for success. How many meals are we going to eat? What times are we going to eat? What times are we going to sleep? What times are we going to go to bed? Are we going to make sure it's at the same time every time, 7 days a week? Yes. 7 days a week. Keep that consistency. So then when it comes to comp prep, you just keep doing it. Now, as you dial down, you're going to start to get sluggish. You're going to yawn more. You're going to conserve your energy to conserve calories. So if your routine is always changing, boom, you're going to be able to snap out of it. Because if you're consistently doing the same thing, your body's going to be into a routine. It's going to be able to snap you out of it, rather than I think I should eat a meal now. No, meals at 3, meals at 7. Like 7, 11, 3, and 7. I do 4 meals, 2 at the same time. As you remember, 6 o'clock, I got an hour. So off you go. Wait, go for a walk, go do something, go do more, be more proactive in something else, come back to it. So definitely could do that. You could even take the model from Ed Limit, Milet. He does like 3 days in one. So 6, 12, 6. I do 4 days because I just couldn't handle it. Like I literally would start my 3rd day at 6 p.m. and I wouldn't switch off till 12, and I was like, this sucks. So I now do 6, 10, 2, and 6. So, and that's also around 8. Works for sure. So having a good foundation. Now I'm going to yawn because I'm practicing. Sorry about that. So the thing to understand is when you're managing clients and athletes, it's setting a foundation consistently. So literally, it doesn't seem to be a change after their comp. So usually when you're comp prep, you dial them down, decrease their calories, increase needs. So when they come out of comp, a lot of people just stop and then they just rebound really aggressively. I know. I went from 69 kilos, got up to 110. That's fun in 6 months. Disgusting. Personally, like it really just destroyed me mentally. I just stuck in a rut. 6 months there, 2 years later, got out of it. And helps when your partner kicks your butt, but you've got people around you to support you, but it can be really challenging. So now with comp prep, diet all the way down. At the end of the comp, have a 4-week plan, refeed, decrease the need over time, and come back to some level of function of whether what is that, understanding that fat gain is going to occur, but using it actually, because when I finished comp, I had a massive pile. I was like, yeah, I probably would have utilized that for a great phase to really put on a bit more mass, which would have been great. Now, this ties into the next one, which is metabolism and thyroid function process. This is not my area of expertise. I'll reach out to Christian Maurice. He's my go-to guy. We actually might do, let's email. Yo. Let's make an event. Boom. So we'll get onto that. I'll make an event now, so it's been emailed. So, but metabolism and thyroid function will decrease the body's ability to burn fat because it wants to conserve it. But the whole process in detail, yeah, that guy's really smart. So check Christian Maurice out. He's the go-to guy. But yeah, after comp prep, going to go down. But what comes up comes down. It'll all come into balance. So just being conscious of that. Supplements that would recommend to athletes, depends on the sport, depends what they're doing. Usually when it comes to supplementation, we look at the fundamentals, vitamin D, get some sunlight, the eyes, water, electrolytes, magnesium, zinc. I have a diagram of this. Oh, the last one is omegas. So omega-3s, anti-inflammatory, stimulates, help with getting good fats in the body, and that can come from oils, macadamia, coconut, olive oil, get it from fish oil, krill oil, hemp, algae. Yeah, there's quite a few there that you can use. So those are base level of supplements that we recommend people. Digestive enzymes and fiber, which comes from food, and also digestive enzymes stimulated in your mouth from saliva. So if you can improve your body's ability to be more efficient and consistent with meal times, it's definitely going to help out. Any other hormones should I be aware of besides TSH? Thyroid, stimulating hormone. You've got testosterone, estrogen, stress hormone, being cortisol. That is the email to make an event. So you should be aware of all hormones, but at the same time, it's like a chicken or the egg, setting up the routine, the foundation. So you get your bloods done. So get your bloods done so you can establish a baseline where you're at. And just make those little changes over time and see how the blood work goes and if it improves or declines. And you just refine, tweak, and observe. So hormones, should know them. There's lots of them. Breathing techniques, movement, sun, sex, stress, all exercise, all of these will benefit. Not too much stress, not too much sex. Maybe. Very short talk. That's your own opinion. So with that, just understand you can get pretty much into a rabbit hole. And this is why we recommend, obviously, to work with doctors and GPs. How would you set up your athlete's nutrition when they start with you? Like I said, when working with any athlete or any high-performing individual, so anyone that's really wanting to make a change, when setting up with them, set the foundation. What are the parameters? These are recommendations that I'm going to make. I recommend that we have consistent meal times. Can you eat 3 to 7 meals a day? Can you eat the same time every day, 7 days a week? Same wake time, sleep time, and set the foundation. 2 grams protein per kilo of body weight, 1 gram of fat, and then the rest will be made from carbohydrates. That's our foundation. Start them at a 20% deficit. A lot of the time, most people don't eat enough of the good stuff. So once we get them on eating that much food, usually in full calories, they actually get digestive disorder. So bloat, discomfort, So they actually need to get into routines. The body can actually produce the saliva, which helps when you drink enough water, and that will aid in digestion. Now, some people go, well, that could take 2, 4, 6 weeks. That's when we take digestive enzymes to assist the body and aid in that short-term process to help build that foundation. And from there, we just consistently monitor body composition. So caliper testing or girth measurements, check in week to week, fortnight to fortnight, making sure that the ticking the boxes are moving forward. Any challenges or problems, they give me feedback and we make adjustments from there. I like to look at low FODMAP foods. So we're decreasing as much of the digestive stress as possible and working with people to help them move forward. For there, simple little changes. I like to either drop fats by 10 grams in a cycle or more, 50 grams of carbs, and then NEAT is about 15 minutes on treadmill, elliptical, bike, but then Stairmaster, I do 10 minutes. I just manipulate and adjust that to suit clients' needs or training. So that's how I would start with anyone who works with us. And then the real question is, can you do it? Some people go, nah, cool. Then we have a reflection process where we look at implementing one habit at a time, or we look to teach them about macros and flexible dieting. So we have a few tools in our toolkit to help people as much as they can when starting with nutrition. Some people, like Amy Mason, shout out to her. She actually went from eating like 1 to 2 meals a day to 4 meals a day. Lost weight, actually lost 2 kilos more than she wanted to fit into the dress, which was great. But she had to actually eat more to get into shape because food provides nourishment, and she was eating all the right foods. And yeah, got that result, which was great. She looked great on the wedding. Still looks great. So she's like, help me, my food. Okay. All right. How do you assess your athletes or people's exercise technique? Movement screening and muscle testing. So we do squat, overhead squat, hip hinge, back bend, and single leg clutch test. So hopping forward and foot. Then we can do some muscle testing, assessing whether your muscle starts where you push down. You're either boom, push, little give, or and it gives out. And we literally then apply some corrective exercise to make sure that it improves. We don't scratch our head and go, I think that'll work. We actually do some corrective exercises and apply them to the individuals to make sure that it's going to work for them. You know, we might think hamstring is going to work, train the hamstrings, doesn't work. Cool, scrap that. So we start to create a foundation and a warm-up routine for people before they start to train to set the bodies up. What's your check-in process? Check-in process, it's either very detailed or simple form. So simple form is we ask how sleep, training, nutrition's been, any feedback. And we're actually fine-tuning it with our current client base at the moment, which is really exciting. Getting a lot of feedback, which I love, always refining, defining. And then at the end of it, because we've had some ask, oh, can I ask for challenges? So I get some feedback there. And what are 1 or 3 intentions that I can set for the week? Which is great. So we can keep people accountable, copy, paste it into a Word document in their file, and it's stored week to week. More detailed one, we're going to ask about libido, sex drive, because that can be one of the first things to drop when increased cortisol, stress, or load on the body is increased. Cognitive function, memory, training performance, like should have been there, I rocked it, which I love. I love when people select that one. I'm always like, bummer, I wish I was there. Any injuries, niggles, top 5 challenges, top 5 highlights, and things you want to improve. Look at consistency of scale weight. Where is that tracking? Where's that going? And yeah, that's. I also, for some people, do a stand and reach test. So it's looking at the stresses on the body. So most people think like when you're asleep, you're recovering, but if you go to sleep in a stress state, and stress can come in many forms, electromagnetic, poor nutrition, choices doesn't mean you have your chocolate and your ice cream, that's bad. It might be that actually can benefit you, maybe you've had too much. So one thing to be mindful of really with that is making small changes and adjustments over time. Okay, so don't just go, oh, I'm going to get rid of it all. It's not the way to go. When it comes to making those changes, should be making tweaks and adjustments. We also then talk about any nutritional deviations. Sometimes people like to eat chocolate cake. I said cake because Kate, my partner, she, bless her soul, she used to, with the body composition assessment, if pinching face and cheek will tell us if you've deviated from the plan all of the time. So she used to go, you know what she's talking about. Okay. And so there were times where she would eat dairy milk. Now, if you're lactose intolerant, run. It's not a great idea, but she would do that. Her face would be up 3-5 mil. I mean, you had dairy the other day. She's like, no. I'm like, yes, you did. She's like, damn it. But over time, what would happen was she actually had dark chocolate fudge brownies. And I would eat it and I'd look like a balloon. But when she had it, she actually had a slight drop. And I was like, it's really interesting. So sometimes with deviations, we ask, why do we do it? And it actually allows us to go, well, let's put it in your plan and see what happens. So we have a chocolate brownie protocol where we eat chocolate brownies for 7 days. I find more females do better on it. But on the 7th day, they have to stop because they all go, this is impossible. I should get fat. And on the 8th day, they all put on weight. And it's like, I wonder if you believed that it would still work, that the weight wouldn't come on. I wonder. So yeah, chocolate brownie protocol. So plan deviations, why'd you do it, find out what's going on, so we can structure and plan around that is what we do with our check-in processes. Right, different ways to carb load depending on the comp. You can preload, so preload before the session, the pump up. You could do it after, backloading. The other one is front loading, where you eat all your carbohydrates at the start of the day, so up till 12, and then after 12 is backloading, where you eat carbs in. So if you do front loading, you eat all your carbs up till 12, 2 o'clock, so the first half of the day, and then no carbs in the evening, and then backloading from 2, as many carbs as you like. So that can work for some people that, you know, they might be a bit sluggish when they have carbohydrates in the morning or in the evening. So you just go, right, well, let's have a larger serve in the other end of the day. So if you're someone who's like, oh man, I just ate some rice. No, go rub that, get that draw off. If you're someone who's like that and you have carbohydrates in the evening, you're just like, then maybe just have those carbohydrates first thing in the morning. Now, if you want to time it around training, but if you're someone who gets tired when you have carbs and you perk up, and that's in the start of the day and you're at work and your boss is like, what's wrong with you? Then you would probably want to have carbs in the back end, because when you're about to go to sleep at nighttime, so have those carbs at nighttime. So then when you go, you wake up 8 hours later and go, what happened? You went to sleep. So different versions of carb loading comp, but also for the average person working day to day. On a competition, usually by the time we come to comp, you've worked out probably the carbohydrates that work for you. So white rice, basmati, jasmine, brown, black, red, and you've found those carbs that work for you. You'll find, like I found some people like to do Snickers, so sugar but fat in it, which is great. Some people, it says the dairy in it sets them off, so that doesn't work for them. Others like rice cake with jam and a bit of peanut butter, so the fat slows down the release of the blood sugar into the body. So just finding out what are your carb sources, and then progressively having it maybe every 2 to 3 hours, leading into that comp, get a nice juicy pump, do some liquid carbs, do iced tea, like sugary drinks, but not fizzy ones, so you don't want to get bloated. Things that are easy on the digestion and the body can easily absorb, and you're good to go for that day. If you're not getting pump up, you also can put some bit of sodium, potassium into it, and electrolytes as well to help get that pump on. Next question is ways to deal with loose skin. This one, shout out to Donna. You got to just be super consistent. It'll take months, like 12. You know, she had some loose skin. She worked hard for 12 months, and I think it was glycerin. She applied like a product to it every single day. Had a shower with it. Got some friction and heat on it. Stimulated the collagen in that skin, in the skin. Boom. 12 months later, tighter. So you've got to be in it for the long game. You can't. I'll just do it for a month. Like me, I've been sitting at 100 2 years now. Gonna have some loose skin, dialing it back into 80. Cool. Took you 2 years to get there. Probably going to take you a year or two to get back. Just being realistic with yourself with that. Again, talk to doctor. Last question. Cool. Any tips on navigating healthy lifestyle and nutritional changes if your partner isn't on board? This is a great question because there's a few answers. One, you make them. Ha ha. Throw all the delicious food out in the bin. Watch them suffer. Ha. Good luck to your relationship. Number 2 is have a stern word with them. Tell them to sit the heck down, and you literally. Those 2 I don't recommend, but it works for some people. And they say 10% of people thrive off negativity, and when they get picked up, which I'm that type of person. Gluten-free with my partner for 5 years. I was gluten-free on and off. Mr. Cooper, if you're listening, hello, sir. This is a man who knows with the glutens. I just do better off gluten. I am doing a little bit of fermented rye sourdough, so it's got like a small portion of gluten. So I'm currently testing that out because all the studies that I was like, no, everyone should do gluten. Turns out they're actually more personal scoring. So it means it actually isn't based off any blood work. It's actually based off, I ate gluten, I felt bloated, it's bad. Okay, well, that's someone's opinion. So when I was reading the studies that were really told to me, I took it at face value. I didn't really dig as deep as I should have. Now I'm like, okay, how is the research looking? Now I'm not the smartest guy, but it's really cool that I know 3 Lukes who are really smart and read all these research papers, so they can give you a lot of info, which is great. But the research would say gluten creates intolerance, leads to bloating, shouldn't do it. Not to those words, but the summary. So I was like, okay, no one should do gluten. Now, there's race car drivers, performance athletes in their contract, they shouldn't do gluten, which is interesting. So we know that there's something going on. But me personally, when I take it, I get really irritable. I'm not a great person to be around. I'll just be like, I get pretty critical and snap. Not like anger. Well, I do get a little angry. Kate gets the run of it, but I'm like, she'll put her plate down next to the dishwasher, and I'll go, I'm really getting annoyed that you're not willing to put that in the dishwasher. She's like, we have not put our stuff in the dishwasher for 6 months. During the day, we put our stuff away at nighttime, but like for time efficiency when working at home, it's like, have your meal, put the plate down, back to work. Don't flop around it, wash it. We'll do it tonight. So that's what we do. And it was just funny getting on gluten. I'd be like, really annoyed. She's like, we spoke about this like yesterday, or we set something up. We've set something up so this doesn't happen. So, we could be more efficient. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's just interesting. You're really annoyed. So with gluten, for me, doesn't suit me well. So I was doing it on and off. And Mr. Cooper, he knows where to get good donuts or all the stuff that's got gluten, but it's so good, so delicious. If you're ever looking for a good place, hook me up. We have coffee, and I'll show you where to get good croissants. Not just white. We're talking like rye, dark chocolate. So cycling a little bit. So yeah, after about 5 years, she turns around and she's like, are you done? Are you done being like a loser? I was like, no, what are you talking about? She's like, you are alive. I'm like, I'm not. She's like, oh, Mr. I'm gluten-free. So I thrived off the negativity, kicked my ass, and now I'm back. And now obviously I talk with her and we discuss and strategize. So yeah, once a week, maybe twice a week, doing fermented different versions of rye, so very low with the glutens, but it's no longer that as processed croissants or donuts as they used to do compared to every meal before. So it's getting better, but little things like that. So the other one, that's just talking about how negativity can work for some people, and I'm one of those people. But when it comes to really navigating with your healthy lifestyle and nutrition changes with your partner, just being the advocate. It's not saying, hey, I'm going to eat some meat, or I'm going to make sure I eat my vegetables. You should too, because it's good for you. You just keep doing what you do and what you believe, and you can reflect and ask your partner and yourself, how did you go this week? Do you feel like we should do any changes? Anything we do together? Anything you can improve on? So I like to do, on the weekend, I'll go to bed. Top 3 highlights. She'll go, this. Okay, cool. What's one thing you need to improve on? And you could go, what's one thing you want to improve on with your career? What's one thing you want to improve on with your health? And if they're like, health is absence of disease. Have you had any discomfort, struggles, brain fog, feeling lethargic? I have. Okay, well, what ideas do you have? Can I help? And opening the forum to have that discussion. Because remember, if you've got a circle piece, a square piece in a circle hole, they're not gonna fit. So it's just working out what works for you, and really just something over time. Your partner will come around, and starts conversation. So I'm now back with the gluten-free, much better than what I used to. Eating donuts every 2 weeks. Now it's not interested. So for me, I might be where I stay. Okay, I might do all the supplements. This is an example. I do the supplements as well, but she might do all the supplements and all those nutrients. She does does a nutrient shake, really boosts the body's immune system and really gets all the nutrients into her body. And I might just gluten-free is where I start, and start to feel a little sluggish. What can I improve? Well, what's that nutrient shake you're doing? Well, here you go. Oh, that tastes awful. Well, here's another flavor. Oh, this tastes good. Wait, when would I have that? 3 o'clock would probably be a good time, just before you start to feel sluggish. That's a great idea. Yo, person who just signed in, how are you? I'm really just looking at where you can help get them on board. Remember, everyone's at their own journey, and we talked. You got five stages, but remember, certain pieces don't fit, so just working around it. So it might even be going for a 20-30-minute walk. What I do now at night is Kate and I we roll on the floor 10-15 minutes now. Get your head out of the people. But you roll on the floor, flexibility, mobility, stretching it out, loosening the body up, is where we start. It actually helps feel a little bit looser, a little bit better, so we actually sleep and feel better. And that brings us to the end of the Q&A questions. I have a question for you. Hey, Luke. Hey, Amy. Is that you guys? For those that are wondering, those are the doctors that I mentioned. I trained Dr. Mason, Amy, and I did tell her I was going to do the Q&A this evening. So maybe that's her that's just tuned in, and her loving partner, Mr. Ross. So yes. All right, so that's Q&A. Are there any more questions that have popped up? No. For cardio, send me pics. Nope. Marvelous. Well, that brings us to an end. I hope everyone is having a lovely day. And if you're watching, I wish you a glorious weekend. And until next time, adios, amigos.